Okay, so I'm going to be showing you how to make these really cute little poppy brooches. Each one of these will take you less than 20 minutes, and I'm sure during this video I'll drop you a couple of little time-saving hints and tricks as we go along. Okay, they are really lovely, really easy to make, but you will need to know how to chain, single crochet, half double crochet and slip stitch, and also how to work into both sides of a chain. But don't panic, I will take you through it quite slowly today, and if needs be, if you're a more advanced crocheter, speed me up. I'll sound like a chipmunk, but you'll get through it a little bit quicker. Okay, so let me tell you more about what items you are going to need today. You will need a red and a green and a black. Okay, now I've chosen to use the Signet Pato Everyday DK because here in the UK this is a nice priced yarn and it's a really good workhorse. It holds up beautifully well and it doesn't split on me even when I'm pulling it super tight. Okay, so I like this one and I get this from the Secret Yarn Stash. The price I'm about to put on screen is what the price was on the 29th of January 2023. So if you are watching this later, it may have gone up in price, but I don't think so because she's only just raised her prices and it was the first time in 3 years. So there is a link in the description box down below for the Secret Yarn Stash. If you're in the UK, I would really appreciate it if you use the affiliated link, as I get a couple of little points based off of your purchase, and I stockpile them until I've got enough to buy some more yarn for the poppies. That is what my affiliate link points go on. So stitch a girl up, go and buy some yarn, make me make more poppies next year. Right, so the colourways that I use are Cranberry. It is a shade 993. Now this is 100 grams of a DK weight yarn. It is a 270 meters and it's 100% acrylic. It can be washed at 30 but not tumble dried or ironed. The recommended hook size is a 4. For my poppies I have gone anywhere between 3.5 when I was first starting out, all the way down to a 2.5mm, which I'm using at the moment because my stitch work since I first started making these has become a lot looser and I need them to fit in the bags that I bought a year and a half ago, so I've got to downsize my hook. I would suggest today that if you are using this yarn, you start off with a 3 or a 3.5mm hook. Okay, so we have the Cranberry. We also have an Apple, which is shade 988, and some black, but for ease today I will be changing out the colours. I will just have them, the proper colours, sitting on the edge so you can see which colour you're meant to be working on. I will also, of course, have a poppy in the corner somewhere so that you can see it for reference. Right, you are also going to need, of course, your crochet hook. Oh, let's move that. You're going to need your crochet hook. The other items that you are going to need today are darning needle. Now it's your choice what sort of style you use. I prefer this one for sewing in my ends because it's short, sharp and quick, and I can do 3 at a time. But I've got a new method of doing the ends, so it'll be even quicker. Okay, so you need your darning needle. You're going to need a pair of scissors to, of course, tidy up your ends. Now I've got mine on a handmade lanyard, so they hang around my neck and I don't lose them down the side of the sofa. There's tip number 1. Hang them around your neck. Just make sure that you're sensible and safe with it, with them there, because otherwise they can be pointy and they can poke into you. Okay, the next item up is a brooch back. Now this is a 3-hole, a 1-inch with a safety wheel. Okay, I picked up most of mine from China, which I now can't use. These ones I got from Hobbycraft. My husband picked them up, so I don't actually know how much he paid for them. Sorry. You will also need some black cotton, which I haven't got to hand to show you because I haven't bought any yet. And of course a sewing needle for that as well. Now these ones are very clever. Let me see if the camera will zoom in. No, it's not doing it. There we go. These are very clever. These are side feeders. Now I don't know if that's the technical term for them, but you feed your cotton in along the side of the hole and it hooks it in and it holds it for you. These are really lovely. I actually won these a couple packs of, well, I won 1 pack and got given another pack by our gorgeous Kim at Kim's Crochet and Knits. And yes, Kim, I'm still using them. They're still going strong, and I've only lost about 5 down the side of the sofa. So there is this type, and there is also one that is a top feeder as well. Okay, now if you notice that you are what I like to lovingly call a twister, which means that you twist your needle as you're using it, the side fill ones will not be any good for you because it pops out. So you'd be looking for the top feeder ones. And to be honest, I do prefer the top feeders because I am a twister, but I still use them. Okay, so now I've shown you, I hope, everything that you need. I'm going to move all this out of the way, and we are going to start off with the green, and we are going to make the leaf first. This is one of the more complicated fiddlier sections of the entire project. Okay. Now, cheeky tip number 2 is when making your leaves, leave them attached. Okay, so then you've got a string of them, you're less likely to lose the individual small little toe rags and down the side of the sofa. Okay, yeah, I'm going to actually upsize my hook today. I'm going to go back to the 3.5mm. Okay, so for ease of filming, I'm just going to do this 1 poppy today in a 3.5mm so you can see it all better. I will be undoing it at the end. I'm not keeping it. Anything I do today is getting undone and done in the size that fits in a bag. Okay, so to start off with, we are going to be making the leaves. Now, I like to leave mine in a long chain. Okay, and I just keep going and going and going until I've got the amount I'm going to need for the batch that I'm doing. And I do it like this so I don't lose them down the side of the sofa. Okay, so let's start. We pop a slip knot on our hook. We are going to chain up 6. Once you have your 6 in the second chain from the hook, you're going to place a single crochet. The next one gets a half double crochet. Remember, only pick up one loop at a time on this side of the chain, because we'll be working into it coming along the other side in a moment. Our next stitch is 2 double crochets into that next chain, and then a half double crochet into the next, and then into our very last chain we are going to work a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. Now this turns your work as you go, as you can see here, it turns it slightly. If you're making a load of these and you're making a chain of them, now follow this step. We are going to be working over your strand, okay, your waist strand, and we're going to start working into the stitches again on the other side. Now all of the stitches will line up together, so into this next spot we are going to place a half double crochet. Next stitch, it's 2 double crochets. Into the next stitch, it's a half double crochet. And into the, at this point I drop my tail, and then the last stitch is a single crochet. Sometimes it can be a little bit awkward to find, but we just dig around till we get there, don't we? Okay, now at this point, if you choose to, you can slip stitch to the very first stitch to create a point, but to be honest, it's the other end that sticks out of your pattern on the poppy. So when you're sewing it up, that is the point that you see here, is this one here. Okay, so what I then like to do is I pull up my yarn, stick my hand all the way through, grab my whole batch of previously made, do that, pull them all through, and then pull my yarn tight. But as I'm undoing it, because it's too big for me, I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to undo it. And now it's time to move on to the next part of the poppy. Okay, and now time for the main part of the poppy. And now for the black centre, I am going to be using white on the screen, so it's easier for you to see. And then for the red, I'm going to be using a pink so that you can see it. Okay, so I'm going to leave the little poppy up here, and next to it is the colour that you should be working but I'm not, but you should be. Alright, okay, are we ready? We are going to take our yarn, we are going to create a slip knot and pop that onto our hook. Now chain 2. This chain 2 does not count as a stitch in this pattern. Okay, now into that second chain from the hook you need to squeeze in 11 single crochets. Okay, so just keep popping 11 single crochets into it, but do not complete that 11th stitch. Now for the 11th stitch, you are going to just go through and pull up your yarn. We are not going to complete with the white. We are now going to move in with our red. Take your tail, hook it with your finger and slide, and then pop it over your hook and slide it through those stitches. Okay, now to secure it, we are going to count back 11. We'll count backwards, and then in the 11th stitch you're going to pop your hook, pull up your yarn and complete it as a slip stitch. Now that closes the round off nice and tight. Now at this point you can drop your ends, okay, or trim them slightly so that they're ready for sewing in. And then we work on to our next stitch. So the first stitch of this round will be worked into the first available stitch. You are going to hook over, pull up your yarn and do a single crochet. Okay, now if you are like me and you're making a batch, at this point I put my hook through, okay, and I hook all of my tails over the top of the top of my hook like that, and then I pull through my working yarn and I finish my stitch off as a single crochet. I keep these held quite taut or tight, and then we will now be working on the rest of the pattern. Okay, so we're going to hook over, we're going to place into the same hole as a single crochet a half double crochet. Okay, still working over those tails if you choose to. And then working back into that stitch, we are going to do a double crochet. So for that very first stitch in there, you should have a single, a half double and a double. If you would like the written pattern of this in either English or American terms, please go over to the Ravelry shop where it is a free download. Yes, I'm right. You're right. You heard me. I said free. Okay, now let's get back to the pattern. So for the second stitch, we are going to place 2 double crochets into that next stitch. Okay, so that's a double crochet increase. Into the next one, still working over your ends if you choose to, we're going to place 3 double crochets. Now at this point, once I've completed my 3, I move my ends out of the way. Now onto the next hole. On the next stitch, we are going to place a double crochet, a half double crochet and a single. Once you've done that, next stitch is a slip stitch. Okay, so on this side now we are going to repeat what we've already previously done. So that first stitch is a single, half double and then a double. The next one is 2 double crochets, into the next stitch 3 double crochets, and then into our last stitch we are going to do a double crochet, half double crochet and a single crochet. Okay, and now slip stitch into or around the slip stitch, if you can get it in, or just thereabouts basically. Can't go in. There we go. And then give that a nice tug. Okay, so that was the end of round number 1. Now this pattern has been identical so far. Now it's time for the change, which will save you 200 grams if you are making 1,000 of these babies. Okay, into our very first stitch we are going to place only a single crochet and a half double crochet. into our next stitch, we are going to place 2 double crochets. Into the next stitch, a double crochet, and we're going to repeat the pattern another 3 times, so that is an increase in the next stitch, followed by a double crochet into the next one, increase, and double crochet into the next one, increase, and a double crochet into the next one, and now we're going to end with an increase. Okay, so your pattern should look something like this. Now into our very last stitch in this section here, you are going to place a half double crochet and a single crochet, and then we're going to slip stitch in or around the previous slip stitch. And as you saw before, it can be a little bit awkward. Okay, make that nice and tight. Now we're on to the very last side. So we're going to, into the very first stitch, you are going to place a single and a half double. And then we are going to do a 9 double crochets. If you don't have room for 9 double crochets, don't panic, just do 8. And just my luck, I've only got room for 8. Okay, you want to make sure that you have a 1 full stitch left. Okay, and in that last stitch you are going to place a half double crochet and a single, and then we're going to slip stitch to close. So slip stitch in or around where that previous slip stitch is. Okay, and then just pull up your yarn, and you can either add an extra little knot to it or whatever to close it off. Now what I like to do is I normally on the first one will cut these ties off. I then do what I do with the leaf. I grab it, I hook it all through, and then I pull it closed. Okay, and then what I do is I will work it, when I join it on the colour on again, I join it about a hand's width and keep going, because I like to make mine in groups. So here's some I've done earlier, okay, which have my one tail, and then it's on a chain, and then all I do when it comes to having to cut it to sew it in is I find the one where the yarn has been worked under and I cut it as close to the stitches as possible, and then I take my darning needle and I darn it in and around on the other poppy. Okay, next is a case of sewing on your leaf. So just give me a moment and I'll set up. Okay, so I thought I'd do the whole process with you, as that's something I need to do anyway. So I take my chain of poppies and grab the scissors and cut that off as close to it as possible. move the extras out the way for a moment. Grab my darning needle. This is actually the wrong one. The other one's under the sofa because it fell down there last night. And yes, I have tried hanging it onto my neck, but it doesn't quite work. Okay, so I will thread my darning needle through the stitches as close to the middle as possible at the back of my work, and then cheekily pop it in that way, and then just pull it through. I don't go backwards and forwards on these. They are designed to be worn, not to be played with. There is warnings on the label, and I don't mind if they fall apart because people seem to like them and they come back and buy them again. But so far I've had my original one go through the wash by accident about 7 or 8 times, and it's still not fallen apart, so I'm okay and happy with that. Right, onto the leaf. You have your chain here. Oh, this is going to be a fun one. I didn't leave enough there. Okay, so I cut it off again as close to the chain as possible. Move those out of the way. Now, normally I would grab my darning hook. I would run it from the from just the side and up the centre and thread it through there. But as you can see, this one is a little short, so I'm going to show you a cheeky trick. Alright, so I need me some red. And my favourite needle. I have 2 different needles that I use. One has just the red yarn in, which is this metal one, and I will have them both set up by the side of me when I'm ready to go. So I will darn in all of the strands with this one, and then I sew on the leaves with this one, which means I never have to take the yarn out of one darning needle to put it into another. Right, well anyway, let's get back to it. We turn our poppy over so the wrong side is facing. Now, different people have different beliefs and theories behind where the leaf is placed. I like to place mine at the 11 o'clock. Okay, but of course you can place it wherever you like. Some countries place it just here. Right? But I'm going to be sewing this one on at 11 o'clock because it also fits in the bag if I put it on at 11 o'clock. Right, so we take our leaf, and if you're cheekily hiding it, hiding the loose end, just fold that up, place it on, and now I normally have it sitting between the second and third row. Okay, at the 11 o'clock, turn it round to check quickly. Yep, that's fine. And then it's a case of darning it in. Now, there are neater ways to do this where you can of course hide your yarn, but I've been really lucky. The people that come and purchase these, they know they're handmade. They end up getting told how many I've made, and I say, I'm sorry the back looks ugly, and they say it doesn't matter, it's sitting on my coat. As long as it looks neat at the front, they really don't mind, which, as I said, I'm very, very lucky about. So I just make sure that it's attached with a quick stitch running through like that. I like to try and bring it up as close to where I started. And then, yes, I am really naughty. I do tie a knot at this point. It's something that I've done all the way through with them. Some of you do, some of you don't. Some of you will use glue, some of you won't. It is all personal choice. I now take my darning needle and tuck it between the leaf and the petal, and then grab my tail, pop it in alongside the other tail, pull them both through, then cut off any evidence, and there you go. That is it. That is how you make the main part of the poppy. Now, as I said earlier, I don't have any cotton, and to be honest, at the moment, if I made these all up fully and bagged them, they would take up a heck of a lot of room in my craft room, as seen in previous videos I have, where I've had boxes of them stacked on top of my cupboards and the pile just grew. So I'm not going to do that this year. This year I'm going to make them all up to this point, and then closer to time I will sew on the brooch backs, and of course add the bags. Now for the brooch backs, I like to place mine across the back of the black. Okay, so slap bang across the middle there, and I have them set up so that the pin, when it does come out, it points downwards, not upwards. Okay, so there we go. So I've got it so that it comes out that way, right, and you have to tuck it down and then spin that round. That way, if the spinner is a little bit wonky, gravity will keep the brooch back in place, or at least the pin of the brooch back in place. And then I join my yarn and I weave it in and out through the whole thing, not yarn, sorry, my cotton, backwards and forwards until I feel it's secure. Then I tie it off and hide the ends again. Then of course it's all done, it goes in a bag with a little label and into a box to be handed over to the Royal British Legion in October. So there we go. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video, and I also hope it was easy to follow. If it's not, please just jump into the description box down below or the I button up here where there is a free written pattern. Remember, it is a very simple pattern to read. It's basically what I've just said to you during this tutorial. So if you want, you can always run it alongside the video, which will also help you learn how to read a pattern, or at least my boring basic ones. Right, I'm gonna head off now. I will see you all really soon, so please remember to stay chilled, stay happy and keep crafting. Oh, and send me photos. I want to see the photos of your poppies. Ta-ra everybody.